The year is September 2022. Hang on, that doesn't even make sense. The month is September and it's 2022. Grounded has hit 1.0. Yeah, let's go with that. Hello rat bags, it's Jade. Doing a little video today talking about why I really truly do believe you should delete your worlds in Grounded. No, you should at least absolutely start a brand new fresh game. I'm playing one of the older versions of the game. Maybe not the oldest version, but certainly pretty close to it. Now to be clear, this isn't like some games that have literally been around in early access for like 10 years, like 7 Days to Die, or nearly 8 years, 7 years, like maybe something like Scrap Mechanic. Grounded has been around only 2 years, but a lot has changed in that time, massive amounts. With the 1.0 release upcoming, the devs have always stressed and said they're going to do their best to make it so you don't have to restart, you're not going to lose your progress. And in most early access games I've ever played, it's always been there, that most of them you have had to restart. They usually revolve around survival games being online or multiplayer, and so that is a very good reason why so many of these games end up having to be reset in somewhat. But the Grounded devs clearly have been doing their best to stop this happening, hence why, although it might have been in a pain in the butt, the most recent update, the Bug Strike Back, we did have to go and redo some of the dungeons. And that might not have been everyone's cup of tea, but having to go and get the chips, now the super chips, from the main areas like the pond, the hedge area, the haze, and maybe like the sandbox, I don't think that's the worst thing that could happen. If you want to keep your massive bases I'm sure you've already built, your thousands upon thousands of resources, that's the payoff. If you want your world to be kept, it does seem like the Grounded devs are going to make sure that can happen, but they can't guarantee it 100%. They have said they're going to do their best. That's what that was all about. It was basically testing the system to see whether or not they could get away with not having to restart. So cut to the chase, Joe. What am I talking about then? Well, basically, I do think you should restart. When you think about the updates that have come into Grounded, the amount of content that's here, we've had some big chunky stuff going on. We've had some new systems added. And I think if you really want to do the game devs a honour and a service, starting a fresh save at least, maybe not deleting your old one, but starting a brand new fresh one on day one is probably one of the most interesting things you could do. You'll get to finally see what the devs envision from literally the start of the game all the way through to end game if you play on that one save, and it's how it's meant to be. I mean, I'm sure there'll be more feedback and there'll be stuff going around, and devs have all been great at taking this on, but truly the 1.0 is going to change a lot of stuff. It should be pretty obvious, but one quick look at all the different biomes and a new upper yard, I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be super excited about exploring that, and for sure there'll be time for that. So the reason I'm saying this is because, yeah, I do believe that the devs have got the balance right. I'm sure when they think about how progression goes, they want you to really do it from the very beginning, where some big changes have taken place. You think about the way that we unlock certain things like armours and weapons, and then how we upgrade them armours and weapons. Some of them have been the most recent changes, whereas a lot of older players found it a bit of a chore having to suddenly then go and upgrade all 15 sets of their armour. Players that maybe started fresh or only halfway through the game, I think they found it a bit easier to incorporate that little bit of a grind, whether it's for grubs, whether it's for berries, or whether it's for sap. And you got more of a sense of accomplishment for being able to craft an armour set. There'll be plenty of players that have maybe got boxes upon boxes of bug parts. They've got everything they need, but very quickly, maybe, to get all of their armour sets upgraded, they quickly ran through the most important stuff. Hence why we saw a bit of a pushback about the Into the Bug Strike Back update. People calling it grindy, saying it was a bit of a chore. When in reality, I would still argue that every survival game should have that in it. When you're talking about end game gear, which a lot of these armour sets are kind of meant to be, sure, we may see some new ones appear, but no one's going to tell me that the Ladybug armour is suddenly going to become useless just because we get the Mantis armour sets added. And likewise the late ones that we saw, like the Roly Poly set, etc. And this is why it felt more grindy to these players, because they'd done everything. They'd spent so many hundreds of, maybe even thousands of hours building giant bases, killing every bug, gathering every resource, and up until the point where we had some of these upgrades needed, they just had chests and chests filled with bug parts. But maybe they didn't have all of the components they thought they would need, and so it just became a bit of a chore because it was just something really repetitive and something that they've done time and time again. Whereas a brand new fresh player, especially playing the 1.0 update, that's all going to become more of a gentle curve. It's not going to suddenly be just landed on you that you've got 15 sets of armour to upgrade. As you progress through the game, you'll well know that you probably only make 2 or 3 armour sets in the very first days, and then it might be a bit of a jump or wait until you get the chance to unlock some later ones. And in that time, you'll be gathering them resources, getting prepared, knowing that you are going to need lots of sap. So making sure you have got your sap collectors going, making sure that you aren't passing up the opportunity to get grubs. So this is just one example of why it's such a good idea to start a fresh new game. Like, you do you. I'm not forcing anyone. I'm just giving my opinions, some suggestions. If you really want to see how the devs envision Grounded to be played, the progression curve and everything that comes with it, then starting 1.0 really is that. I also think it would help with the burnout. And again, this is experience from covering over 200 games nearly. The vast majority of them have been early access, and it's happened time and time again. You're used to updates hitting every month, or maybe every 2 or 3 months like Grounded went to. Once the full game comes out, the devs usually will do a lot of hot fixing, and then there will be a bit of a bigger break. Like, sure, Grounded is looking like it's going to be grown, it's going to have more content. The devs have said they're going to carry on working on it. But you can bet that content isn't going to be even every 3 months, in my opinion. Maybe it will be more stable and it's just a case of adding some bits and bobs on top. But I do think we may see a little bit less, or there won't be as an importance to get stuff into the game. So that means your experience of Grounded has to last. And if you're someone that doesn't just enjoy base building for the sake of it, and doesn't like that kind of grind too much, then you might find, with your playing on your world that you've been playing 200, 300 hours on already, that you'll burn through that endgame content. You'll explore the upper yards, you'll take on the Mantis, you'll defeat the other bosses they've got available, and you'll do that in a week because you're so desperate to see the ending. You've been one of Grounded's biggest fans and biggest supporters because you've played it all, you've given feedback in the Discord, you've watched every stream, but you will burn through stuff so much quicker. I think it's pretty obvious. A lot of you guys will be like, yeah, of course I'm going to start a new save, but I'll keep my old one just in case. And as a YouTuber, I will absolutely be doing my best to show off all the new stuff as soon as it drops. That's because it's my job. If I was someone that only ever made views off of Let's Plays, I wouldn't be in such a rush to maybe show stuff off. In fact, it used to annoy me that I've seen other tubers in the past, ARC tubers that did nothing but Let's Plays, and day one of DLCs they would be showing off the boss fights and the end boss fights. And I couldn't get why, because they were really successful. They used to get thousands upon thousands of views on their Let's Plays videos, which is like the dream of every YouTuber, because it involves a lot less work. But they would go and rush and ruin the experience for themselves, and ruin it for a lot of fans that stood by to watch. Now you guys, you know now, I'm like the king of leaks and show you stuff first. I shout out about it enough that I bore you guys about it. Yes, I do things like Let's Play sometimes, and yes, I do things like 100 days. But the focus has always been with me, games, guides and news. So yes, I will be showing the new stuff. I will be within an hour of the game going live, finding out how to spawn in the Mantis or run to the Mantis and show you the boss fight. And you don't have to watch, and I'm going to make sure I'm pretty careful and more respectful of spoilers. Anyway, going back to my point, it's not just the armour and weapons. We're not 100% sure how much else is going to change. Are there going to be brand new systems added? We kind of get the feeling, devs have said that they're going to work on maybe a kind of earlier oven. Some way that we can maybe prepare meals a little bit earlier than the haze. Because when you think about the haze, it's like well into the game before you get the ability to craft meals and be able to make mushroom bricks. Given that we've got base defense systems in place now where creatures can attack you, people might feel they want their mushroom build pieces a lot quicker, or at least some meals. Now this is one thing where long time players will win because they'll have all their bases built, they have plenty of resources, they don't really need to worry about base defense. So if they do add anything like that, well yeah, lots of players would be like, well, I don't need this, I've already got my ovens unlocked. So that's another reason why you should start again. I noticed this a lot more when I recently did my 100 days, where I played a lot more regularly and put a huge amount of hours into Grounded than I've probably ever done before. But we'll be still going to the ant hill. That will be one of the first ones you'll still probably do. We'll then still go and explore the grasslands, the oak tree. And then it is up to the hedge normally, and then it is obviously into the water. Then over to the haze, then the black ant hill, then the sandbox, and then of course finally going over to the upper yard, termites, shed, and then I'm guessing the underdeck area. But there could be good opportunities here to start building, making bases closer to other points. So yeah, you're probably not going to see too many videos from me saying make sure you collect these resources right now. Because ultimately we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if there's going to be a tier 4 set of armour and weapons, and whether or not we're going to need even more of a different type of resource to gather them. What if the berry hedge in that corner isn't actual normal berries? What if they're raspberries or something else? What if they're cherries? What if that's the fourth component that we're going to have to make or upgrade our final level for armor? It does look like armor is going to be something else. When you think about it, it goes pretty much grub all the way up to like level 5. Then level 6 and 7 at the moment, it's berry. And 8 and 9, it's like the pupa. So that means level 10, which I'm pretty sure will come into the game. Do you think that's going to be another pupa level? I don't know. I think it will be something else. Maybe it will be the hardened resin that has basically appeared in these cheaty lists that we've seen time and time again over the couple years. Hardened sprig, the resin. But it does feel like the system we've got in play at the moment with just the regular sap, that these have definitely been cut in my opinion. Next obvious one is, if you don't decide to go ahead and start a new world, you're going to miss out on a lot of cutscenes and a lot of actual story explaining. And that can be important. Grounded's always had a little bit of a focus on that, but we've not really seen much other than the tapes and stuff. And I'm sure we will be able to trigger them scenes. I reckon we will have to go and get more of them chips. And each time we pick one up, it might not just be a scene that focuses in on one area. It'll actually deliver us a proper cutscene involving story. Or maybe we'll even get some dialogue spoken and being able to see in some sort of cinematic with Burgle or Wendell. And so by it not starting again, you kind of ruin that experience. Sure, you may be able to find a way to play them back and stuff, or just gather the certain tapes to do it. But there's a bit of hype in back building yourself up to go to one place, get a little bit of expo and story, then the next, then the next, then the next. I mean, I might overbe doing it, they may not be. Grounded devs have always thought Grounded more of as a survival game, others have labelled it more of an RPG, but to me it's always been a bit of a much more hardcore survival game than people think. But it does sound like they have got lots more story involved. Whether or not it's going to involve us finding out how we got shrunk, and that's what you're going to miss out on if you're really steadfast. So that's it really, just something to think about. From my personal opinion, if I was just a regular player that wasn't someone that made content and was always trying to think of new stuff to show, I would take my time with the game. I would play it from the very beginning how it's meant to. I will be doing that, I will be doing a Let's Play, because Grounded has never felt too old or too repetitive for me, because I've spent so long not playing it regularly. Covering so many other games on my other channel meant I had big breaks in between covering Grounded, but I was there every single update, and then since I started the second channel and Grounded's grown, I've got to really appreciate how it's good to play something just consistently a lot. So once I am done showing the new stuff off, I can't wait to dive into a brand new big fresh save. I think it'll help you in the long run appreciate the game more. You'll get more out of it while we wait for maybe longer gaps in between updates, and you'll be able to experience it the way the devs really feel like their vision for the game is. We've shaped that vision so much, but now it's time to actually be, in awe of what the devs have given us from start all the way through to finish. Rich coming from the Spoiler King, but there you go. And that's it. Just a little opinion video today. I'll see you right back for more Grounded Guides, news and gameplay soon. Bye bye.